Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good afternoon from Oman and good evening for all attendees in India. We are very honored to welcome you all in this webinar. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar, and it's our big honor to have His Excellency Monu Mahover, the Indian Ambassador to the Sultanate of Oman, for joining this meeting. My name is ITHRAA Luhebi and I'm the Director of Investment at ITHRAA. ITHRAA is a government authority in Oman committed to promote investment opportunities in Oman and attract FDIs from global markets, and to build relations with markets to facilitate trade and non-oil and Oman-based products. Today we are going to present investment environment in Oman, focusing on logistic sectors and DOCOM, a special economic zone. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. If you have any question during the presentation, please type them into the Q&A box in your control panel. I will bring them up after all presentations done, so we will have time to answer them at the end. Now, without further ado, we will turn the time over to Ms. Ashwini Saurikar, Chairperson of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, the Muscat Chapter, to give the welcome note and to introduce the Indian speakers.
Thank you, Haura, for the introduction. Hello and good afternoon. Salam alaikum, namaste, and a very warm welcome to all the dignitaries, panelists, prospective investors, and attendees of this webinar. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all for this webinar on Invest in Oman. In the month of April in the year 2005, which is 15 years ago, I left India and came to Oman with my family, which is now my second home, just like it is for many other Indians staying here for decades together. As an Indian, as a chartered accountant working in Oman, and as a woman, I can easily name the top salient features of Oman as a very safe country, a friendly country with friendly people, country rich in natural resources, even other than petroleum, the proximity to India, a strategic positioning at the global choke point of the Strait of Hormuz, and a coastline with direct access to the Arabian Sea, just to name a few. Add to this, various measures are being taken by the Omani government, including the formation of ITHRAA, for example, with an aim to diversify this predominantly oil-driven economy and to attract investments into Oman. So as we go on today, we will hear from the various eminent panelists more about the opportunities available for those who would like to invest in Oman, with a specific focus on manufacturing, logistics, and free trade zones. Today, we as the Muscat chapter of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, and in my capacity of the chapter chairperson, are glad to host this webinar jointly with ITHRAA. Our chapter is formed by an MOU between the ICAI, our parent organization in India, and College of Banking and Financial Studies, CBFS, who are our local sponsors in Oman. And we have as our main objective, providing continuing professional education to our members, as well as to extend this professional development activity to accountants and other professionals of all nationalities. Indians believe in Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, meaning the world is one family. We as the Muscat chapter of ICAI consider India and Oman both as our home and as our family, and therefore are especially very happy today as we play the role of a facilitator to introduce the prospective investors from India to this investment destination, Oman, thus connecting people on the two sides and paving way for a win-win relationship. Ladies and gentlemen, to begin today's proceedings, I would like to introduce our guest of honor, His Excellency Shri Monu Mahover, the Indian Ambassador to Oman. An engineer from IIT in India, he joined the Indian Foreign Service in 1996 and has served in diplomatic missions in different countries, taking his current charge in Oman in the year 2018. Your Excellency, we are indeed blessed to have your presence in this webinar, and I now welcome you to please address the audience. Your Excellency, please.
Thank you very much. Shri Anil Kumar Gupta, President ICAI, Mr. Azan Busaidi, CEO ITHRAA. I don't know, I don't see His Excellency Cass. I don't know whether he is joined or not. If he is there, great pleasure to have him here. Other distinguished officials and business representatives from India and Oman. Let me begin by thanking the Muscat Chapter of ICAI and its chairperson, Ashwini Savrikar, for taking this initiative, which I believe is a very timely initiative. All of you are quite familiar with the breadth and depth of India-Oman relations, friendly relations that we have. The leaderships in both countries attach very high importance to this relationship. They are committed to further deepening and strengthening it. And this resolve was reiterated in the telephone conversation that the two leaders had, Prime Minister Modi and His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq, on April 7th. The foundation for this partnership, strategic partnership between India and Oman, is provided by strong people-to-people connect. And therefore, it is natural that we have a very vibrant economic partnership, which has been growing. There are many sectors where we have very strong complementarity. What India needs, Oman can offer, and what Oman needs, India can offer. And therefore, this business between our two countries has been growing both in terms of trade as well as investment. COVID-19 has been a big disruption for businesses all over the world. But every crisis brings many opportunities. COVID-19 has shown the resilience of India-Oman economic partnership. In the COVID period, India has proved to be a reliable supplier of essential commodities and items to Oman. In India, COVID has led us to take a fresh look at global economic interaction, global economic scenario. And as Prime Minister Modi underlined in virtual G20 and NAM summits, COVID has shown the world the limitations of the existing international system, which follows economy-centric agenda rather than human-centric agenda. So Prime Minister Modi has called for a new template of globalization based on fairness, equality, and humanity in the post-COVID world. And to turn this COVID crisis into an opportunity, the government of India has launched a series of measures which seek to achieve a self-reliant India, what we call Atmanirbhar India. And these measures in many ways go far beyond what we had done in 1991. The 1991 reforms essentially were focused at delicensing, relaxation of controls. The reforms, the measures that we are launching now cut across all sectors of the economy, and they touch almost every facet of human life. Let me also clarify that a self-reliant India does not mean a self-centered or an isolationist India. In fact, it will be a more internationalist India as we seek to link up with global capital and technology flows. I see many opportunities for India and Oman to strengthen its economic partnership in post-COVID era. The strong complementarities between our economies, as I mentioned earlier, will remain valid even in post-COVID period. Further, there are many areas where our current level of engagement is relatively low or is not institutionalized. And I would like to mention few sectors. The first one is medical and healthcare. India's role as pharmacy of the world has come into sharper focus in the COVID crisis. India has a world-class pharmaceutical industry as well as quality healthcare service providers. A close partnership can enable Oman to have its own robust, cost-effective healthcare system. Second area pertains to food security. As I mentioned earlier, India has proved to be a reliable supplier of essential commodities to Oman in the COVID period. And you would have seen regular releases by Oman Shipping Company and Oman Air. There is potential for us to collaborate in this area in a more institutionalized manner. then there is possibility for us to explore collaboration in the area of project financing. India has undertaken a large number of projects in its neighborhood, immediate and extended neighborhood, as well as in countries far beyond in Africa, Latin America, and Southeast Asia. These projects are also financed by the financing from India under certain stipulated conditions. This mechanism has not been used as yet for projects in Oman. Given that Oman will continue to have infrastructure related projects in future and would require financing for such projects, this is one area which can be explored for collaboration. So I look forward to the presentations that have been scheduled for this webinar. But before concluding, let me also say that promotion of economic cooperation is the topmost priority for Embassy of India. And although we are currently focusing on, providing support to the community and arranging repatriation for those who wish to return to India, and that's what you get to hear more about. But let me reassure you that we remain fully available to extend all possible support to the business community. Business promotion has been and will remain a key priority for us. So I once again thank ICAI for taking this initiative. It's really a great pleasure for me to join you all, and I wish you all a very productive session. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your words of wisdom and knowledge. Very well appreciated. Ladies and gentlemen, we are also very fortunate to have amongst us Chairman of Oman Chamber of Commerce and Industry, OCCI. He said that he would join as a silent observer, and he sends his best wishes for this webinar, for this initiative. Thank you, Your Excellency, for your support. As I mentioned at the beginning, that the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India is our parent body, and we are honored to have their support for today's webinar. ICAI is India's national accounting body, established in 1949, and is the second largest professional accounting and finance body in the world, with more than 300,000 qualified chartered accountants working in various positions in and outside India. Representing ICAI, we have with us the ICAI President, CA Atul Kumar Gupta ji, who has served the profession for more than 2 decades. He is a man with astute intellect, quick understanding, and sharp vision. He is widely respected for his strong organizational skills and is taking the profession to newer zeniths. CA Atul ji, I welcome you to this webinar and invite you to please say a few words. Atul ji.
Thank you, Madam Ashwin, the chairperson of the Muscat Chapter, and all the colleagues from the Muscat, on His Excellency Manu Mahavarji, and very respected Ajan Al-Musawi, and all the colleagues in this program. Very good afternoon to all of you from India, and namaste to all of you. And at the outset, I'm thankful to His Excellency and Madam for hosting this very important program, and as rightly mentioned by His Excellency, that we congratulate the ICAI Muscat Chapter for having this very timely event being organized to strengthen the relationships, as rightly mentioned by that we are enjoying a very good relationship between the two countries, and this will strengthen it further. As far as the ICAI is concerned, I discussed all my colleagues, including His Excellency, that in my last visit in September 2019, that the institute is being established and set up under the Act of Parliament of our country, that is India, and starting with a very few members. Today we have more than 165 plus branches in India, and we have 35 overseas chapters with more than 350,000 plus members. Today, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India is having the presence in more than 20 countries, and having a network of very prominent chartered accountants who are holding the various senior position of a CEO, CFOs, which is very, very important for the investment framework, and for which this today's program is there. So members of this Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, whether I will speak about the Gulf countries, even about the European countries, even in the Africa, in India, they are all holding the various senior position of our CFOs and the management leadership which is very, very instrumental in catalyst in the decision related to the investments. As Honorable His Excellency discussed about the in detail that how the relationship between the two countries are growing in terms of the trade and investment. So I will not be speaking on that front. But as far as the ICAI is concerned, being a research-based organization, so we always see that we should remain in the forefront in India and even in the other countries whenever there will be any decision in relation to the policy implementation. So whether it is a bringing of any new law, whether it is even the VAT in the Middle East or even in India, the GST, the ICAI played a very, very important role about the implementation of any new law. Even training to our members, training to the various stakeholders, ICAI organized thousands of programs on a year-to-year basis to develop the skill set. So it is very, very important that even everybody, because we deal in the economic matters, and it is very important for everybody who is dealing in the economic matter to reskill himself with the passage of time. So ICAI understands this responsibility, and we used to organize this reskilling programs for our members and all these stakeholders. Even you will agree with me that in my last visit at September 2019, we met the Honorable AG, all the distinguished personality dignitaries in the Oman and Muscat, and we offered them that yes, we can do a lot of handholding, lot of training programs for the Oman, the dignitaries of the Oman, even the audit department. We offered them that they can come to India for a special program wherein we will be giving that kind of a skill, the reskilling trainings to all the colleagues. So I'm very happy that by having this kind of a program, and there will be a larger participation, deliberations will be there, there will be the presentation, then how the relationship between, as given by His Excellency, in terms of the trade and investment, and even in the service sector, can reach to the new pinnacle and reach to the new level between the two countries. And ICAI will be very happy to join hands, not only for the trade, investment and services, but also for developing the skill set among the colleagues from India and Oman by the vast experience of more than 70 years plus. And we have a very strong team at Muscat, so I congratulate the Muscat team also for organizing a lot of CP training program, that is continuing professional education programs in Muscat and the nearby areas, so that the journey of transformation should continue. We should always aspire for the excellence, and that's why we used to say the ICAI, the future ready profession, that is the profession of the future. So thank you very much for all my colleagues from Oman and His Excellency for giving this opportunity, and we are there committed 24/7 to support all the endeavors of the Oman and His Excellency to the best of our capabilities. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Siatulji, for your motivating and guiding words. Our sponsor in Oman, CBFS, is led by the College Dean, Dr. Nasser Al-Mawali, and he sends his best wishes for today's event as well. Thank you, Dr. Nasser, for your continuing support. Ladies and gentlemen, we are holding today's webinar in association with FICCI Bengaluru and Hindustan Chamber of Commerce. FICCI is an apex organization for industry, trade, and service sectors in Karnataka and has just completed its first century of existence. They are in the forefront of activities to promote economic development in Karnataka. They have a membership from all sectors of industry, and they are promoting especially granite and mining industry as well. Representing FICCI is their current president, Mr. C.R. Janardana, an engineer and a distinguished entrepreneur. He is also a well-known leader and champion for the cause of MSMEs, for whom he has worked during the past decades. Mr. Janardana, he is, I think, he will be addressing later. Last but not the least, Hindustan Chamber of Commerce. They are also part of our, they are also associated with today's webinar, and they were established more than 75 years ago in 1945 and have more than 980 members across trade and industry, across different industry sectors. Representing HCC is their current president, Mr. P.G. Sadhguru Das, also a chartered accountant, practicing in direct taxes for over 4 decades. C.A. Sadhguru Das, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you today to today's webinar and request you to say a couple of words to the audience. C.A. Sadhguru Das, please.
You have to unmute yourself. Mr. Das, you have to unmute. Madam, you can unmute him. Madam Ora, yes.
Good evening. I'm happy to be on board with the Indian Ambassador to Sultanate of Oman, President of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, Chairperson and Vice Chairman of Muscat Chapter of ICAI, President Federation of Karnataka Chamber of Commerce, CEO of ITHRAA, Director of Global Markets and Business Development, ASEAN, Director of Marketing and Investment Promotion, CSAT. As President of Hindustan Chamber of Commerce, I have great pleasure in addressing this august audience and thank for the opportunity to be part of this program. The Chamber will be celebrating its Diamond Jubilee next year and is affiliated to FICCI New Delhi with 970 members from various segments of trade and industry. The world is going through unprecedented pandemic because of COVID-19, which has brought down the economy world over to a stalemate. Any crisis will throw up new opportunities, and definitely this will pass, and we will witness many more positive social, economic, and technology developments all over the world. Our role is liaising between the government and trade and industry. We put up the grievances and suggestions of trade and industry to the government, and vice versa, carry the initiatives of the government to trade and industry. In our chamber, we have expert committees, and the investment committee is very active in conducting programs. The opportunity for investments in Oman will definitely be carried by this committee, the members of trade and industry, for them to seize an opportunity. The chamber is open to such joint programs to improve bilateral trade between the two countries, and sure members of the chamber participating in this program will be benefited and will give them an opportunity to know the nuances of investment in Oman. After the meeting, I am sure we will have a number of inquiries from our members, which we will pass on to you and see how we could work together to get positive results. I take this opportunity to invite all the dignitaries to visit our chamber as and when they visit Chennai. Thank you for the opportunity to one and all.
Ms. Aura, I hand over to you, and let's proceed with the
Thank you, Ashwini. And now Mr. Azzan Al-Busaidi, CEO of ITHRAA, is going to deliver a presentation about investment environment in Oman and the economy landscape. Please go ahead.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me a great pleasure to be here with you today and having ITHRAA part of this webinar. Although this happens in unprecedented circumstances, but thanks to these circumstances that we are able to utilize technology in order to convene at such a high level with His Excellency the Ambassador of the Republic of India here to Muscat, and the leadership of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, and the chamber, the Hindustan Chamber, and FICCI, along with colleagues from Oman, from ASEAN, and from CSAT. I believe that this might become the new normal, a more effective way of communication among partners and friends, but in the end of the day to achieve the same objectives that we were all trying to achieve. India was, is, and will always remain to be one of not only our largest trading and investment partners here in Oman, but as well one of our most trusted trading and investment partners. Trade and investments between the two countries, between the two nations actually, goes back hundreds and hundreds of years. The DNA of trade and the merchants from both countries are part of the history of both countries. And what we are trying to do over here is instead of focusing on new markets and targeting investments in different markets here and there. We are trying to go back to the basics, trying to go back to friends, people that have always been familiar with Oman, and people that we in Oman are always familiar with. On behalf of ITHRAA, I would like to welcome all of you here in this webinar, and I'm really looking forward to not taking so much of your time. I have some few slides, myself and my colleagues as well from CZAD and ASIAD would have some few, and allow as much time as possible for the Q&A session. One point that I wanted to just clarify is either the questions that are already being posted right now, or the interactions that are going to follow the papers that are going to be delivered. Rest assured that whatever can be answered during the session will be answered during the session, and otherwise my team here in ITHRAA would be more than happy to get back to you at your own convenience to address these questions. If you may allow me, I will just share a presentation right now. This paper I would try to be as brief as possible. I would as well try not to focus on areas other colleagues are going to talk about, specifically logistics and regarding the special economic zone of Duqm. So in general, Oman is a country just across the ocean to India, with a total land area of a little bit more than 309,000 square kilometers. It has a long coastline, relatively speaking, of more than 3,000 kilometers, with a population of 4.6 million and a median age of 25. Oman is one of the most skilled and best educated workforces in this region. It is one of the things that the government in Oman has been constantly investing plenty of resources in. It has a very business-friendly regulatory framework, which is being updated constantly in order to ensure that our business environment remains attractive. The Omani economy is equipped with the challenges of the digital economy, and today we are seeing it more of a must rather than a choice. There are plenty of attractive investment opportunities, and the infrastructure in Oman, the least that could be said about it is that it is world-class. Although we have a small population, relatively speaking, in comparison to plenty of countries, but Oman lies at the heart of the GCC market. The GCC market itself has consumers of around 54 million people. It is in the nexus of the East and West, and as you can clearly see from this map, it takes under 4 hours to be at the reach of over 2 billion consumers, and 8 hours to be at the reach of a very, very large part of the world's population. This allows businesses working in Oman huge access to other markets. Recently, Oman announced in a very rapid manner the inauguration of a number of state-of-the-art facilities, either airports, seaports, or other facilities that would help and assist businesses to gain fast and easy access to markets. And along that, we have 7 industrial estates in Oman, which are equipped for companies looking for a place in order to invest in the industrial or manufacturing area. We have 4 free zones in Oman. We have 2 technology parks. The intellectual capital and the amount of intellectual capital in the Sultanate as well is something that receives constant attention from the government. And for that matter, we have as well established an industrial innovation center that looks into collaborating with businesses in order to increase the level of the application of innovation into their production lines. Oman as well very recently opened the new Oman Convention and Exhibition Center, a state-of-the-art facility that would as well assist Oman in attracting the MICE industry. A little bit about our economy. We, although despite all of the circumstances and the challenges that we're facing for either in the oil markets or right now with COVID-19. We still managed till last year to achieve a trade surplus of around 1.8 billion US dollars. We export non-oil exports to more than 130 countries around the world, and these exports are valued of a little bit more than 10 billion US dollars. The total GDP of Oman is around 80 billion US dollars, and this leaves Oman as one of the very attractive places for not only companies to do business, but even people to live, to work, and to have their families raised over here. The talent pool in Oman, or the human capital in Oman, is something that maybe was underrated or or overlooked into. Oman, in fact, has a very young workforce. They're well-trained, ambitious, entrepreneurial. Most importantly, they're multilingual. In fact, plenty of Omani families speak different languages that would assist not only Indian companies, for a matter of fact, working in India or from India, but even companies working from India to parts in East Africa and in other areas of the world. In one specific gathering in Oman, there are the odds of having more than 6 or 7 languages spoken, thanks to Oman's links, historically speaking, that enabled Oman to be very open to these markets. More than 127 people are enrolled in higher education in Oman, and 23,000 of them graduate on an annual basis. This makes the working population in Oman at around 2.2 million people. The investor-friendly framework here in Oman, and as I mentioned, recently we launched or announced the new foreign direct investment law. This law abolishes all of the restrictions that the previous law had in place. So today, 100% foreign ownership for businesses is allowed. No foreign exchange controls are applied. No personal income taxes are applied. We have a very legally transparent system. English is widely and universally spoken here in Oman, not only in the private sector, but even in the government. Oman is a very stable, tranquil, open and friendly nation that's looking forward to achieving global trade and investment on a constant basis. The cost of doing business in Oman as well remains relatively competitive, although the recent years had seen a number of revisions, either in the tax rate, in the utility rates, and etc. The corporate tax rate here in Oman remains quite competitive at 15%. The wages and the business costs, if we compare it with the rest of this region, remains as well very competitive. Utility rates are within reach. And just to give you 2 examples, an annual manufacturing space at Madain, which runs the industrial properties in Oman, would cost something between $2 to $25 per square meters per annum. And a monthly office space in the Knowledge Oasis Muscat, which is our IT park here in Muscat, would cost from $15 to $18 per square meter per annum. The key sectors that we would focus on under the national strategy to enhance the diversification of our economy are seen here in the screen. You have manufacturing, tourism, mining, fisheries, and logistics. All of these sectors are sectors that have observed a number of legal improvements in laws and regulations. It had observed a number of investments in infrastructure, constant investment in human capital, local human capital made readily available for investors to come and achieve their objectives accordingly. And fisheries, hence our long coastline, and the fact that Oman is open to the Indian Ocean allows Oman to access large deposits of fish that are in high demand worldwide and make a very large amount of our non-oil exports. I will perhaps skip snapshots about key sectors, and I would allow my colleagues from CZAD and Asiad to get into a little bit depth when it comes to all of these sectors. And I would move immediately to services that we offer here in ITHRAA. ITHRAA is the Public Authority for Investment Promotion and Export Development. It was set up by the government 23 years ago, and with a key objective to help foreign direct investors come over here and set up. We offer a wide range of services that would be relevant to perhaps only asking a few questions or gathering information about key sectors, to providing quality insights and intelligence about market opportunities, regulations, incentives, funding, talent, infrastructure, etc. And we would want to see ourselves as being a single window for any potential investor who would want to explore investment opportunities here in Oman. We as well provide services to our exporters, and the export development makes half of our attention as an organization. And for that, we help exploring new international markets with exporters. We try to find the right business opportunities and partners for Omani exporters. We organize a wide range of events and initiatives with Omani exporters targeting different markets. Perhaps one of our key products, which was launched late last year, was the Invest in Oman portal. Invest in Oman portal is an online platform dedicated specifically in order to facilitate the exploration process of potential investors. We would have a number of readily made projects and opportunities listed down in this portal, and the portal would act as a one-stop shop for these investors where they can browse, engage, and take these exciting investment opportunities forward. One thing that I would want to stress upon is the inevitable lifestyle that people will and are experiencing here in Oman. Perhaps my colleagues from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, the Muscat chapter, could say more about this, but Oman enjoys first-class international and recognized schools for different diasporas living here in Oman. The healthcare system is quite excellent, and perhaps the circumstances we're going through right now shows that there is a high degree of not only flexibility and resilience, but it's able to as well look ahead and be one step ahead of the game. Oman was ranked second in the Global Wellness Index, and this is thanks to all of these attributes that helps people not only establish their businesses over here, but even live with their families. Oman is outstandingly beautiful. It's very rich in terms of culture, and we have a diverse leisure options. In Oman, there are 5 UNESCO World Heritage sites, and this as well shows part of our country that might be very much of the interest of potential investors. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. As I mentioned, we will be addressing the questions that you are sharing right now. And if anyone wishes to write to us directly, you may do so through the address shown over here and through the interactions at the end of the session. Thank you very much, and back to you, Hawra.
Thank you, Azzan. It seems we get many questions regarding investment in Oman. We'll bring them up at the end of the webinar. Well, now I would like to introduce Mr. Badr Al-Na'bi, Director of Global Markets and Business Development in ICAI. ICAI is a new integrated logistic provider in Oman, established in 2016 to maximize the financial returns and economic impact of government logistics investments. The ICAI Group brings together 16 logistics companies and joint ventures under one entity, improving performance, creating efficiencies, and offering economies of scale. Yes, Badr, please go ahead.
Thank you, Hawra. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Your Excellency, Brother Azzan, and our colleagues in Muscat Charter from CSAT and ITHRAA. Thank you for having ICAI on board through this virtual meeting. First of all, I'm Badr Nabi, Global Markets and Business Development Director. ICAI is a state-owned enterprise, as ITHRAA mentioned. It has 16 companies. It is fully owned by government of Oman. We offer an integrated logistic solution. I'll move to share some slide. Just give me a moment. So, as I mentioned, ICAI is a comprehensive end-to-end logistic provider in the Middle East. We provide port services, free zone, as well multimodal transport. The mandate being given to ICAI by the government to maximize economic and financial return from the government investment in ports and free zones, as well implementing the National Logistics Strategy 2040. The National Logistics Strategy being created by the government, and it has 4 main pillars to focus on: human capital, technology, markets, and the trade facilitation. We are working intensively and dedicatedly to achieve our vision to be among the top 10 global integrated logistic service provider by 2040, using the strength of Oman locations and political stability and strong services we have, world-class infrastructure also we have. So in general, ICAI profile is we do operate 3 main ports: Sohar Port, Duqm Port, and Salalah, as well 4 local ports operated by our company Marafi. I'll give more detail about the ports in the next few slides. These ports are attached with free zone and economic cities, which is like 200 kilometers far from. Beside also, we are providing a sea freight service through our Oman shipping company, and we offer a world-class ship prepared yard through Oman Dry Dock. The public service also, we have our company Senior, which is now integrating the land transport with the sea transport through the ferries. The postal service, we modernized the postal to become more of last mile delivery, express mail, and e-commerce services. When we talk about the ports, as shown here in the screen, with Sohar Port, we have a JV partner with Port of Rotterdam, and in Duqm we have with Port of Antwerp. In Salalah we have with AB Terminal. And our ports are very well equipped and have world-class infrastructure which can carry any type of ship and also carry any type of cargo. The draft we have is from 16 meter to 25 depth, which is giving us the strong capability to receive the largest ship in the world. And last month, we received the second largest ship in Salalah port. Our ports have very fantastic capacity in terms of general cargo, container terminals, and liquid cargo. In terms of location, we are 2 weeks, our ports are 2 weeks far from the global or the major port globally, serving more than 2 billion consumers if we focus to the Middle East and India subcontinent and East Africa. As I mentioned before, our free zones, which they are attached to the ports, handling different type of industries, in food and agriculture, in mining, in petrochemical, assembly and packing, and some manufacturing activities. In Duqm, dry docking services are also available attached to Duqm port, which has also strengthened the position of Duqm port as a gateway, in Middle East part. Our company Marafi, Marafi is a word Arabic name of harbor, established with a vision to successfully and commercial operate and manage ports, building the local capabilities and operate ports outside Oman regionally and internationally. Marafi now is operating 4 local ports, and there is 2 additional is coming in the picture, inshallah, soon. We are handling through Marafi different type of ships, dhow, domestic ferries, cruise ship, navy vessels, as well handling different also for variety of type of products like bitumen, bulk grain, vegetable oil, livestock, cement, and also general cargo, fruit and vegetables, livestock. So we are having these capabilities also within our local ports. Khazain, city of the future. Khazain is very well located in strategic position in Barka, which is 2 hours drive from Suhar port, and 35 minutes drive from Suwaiq port, 30 minutes drive from Muscat city and Muscat airport. It is integrated economic city, which objective to attract also some foreign investment and also capitalize on our also local industries. The intention to have industrial and free zone area in this city, as well business, community, social infrastructure, some retail and entertainment activities, residential apartments, dry ports, and some also warehouses. Maritime solution. I'm running a little fast because I have only 10 minutes to, so I have to catch up on time. The maritime solution with our carrier, national carrier, Oman Shipping. Oman Shipping, we are having now 4 vessels, and there is new vessels coming on board. We are carrying through our Oman Shipping the crude oil, the LNG, the dry bulk container, and refined oil products, and we are growing this business. And since last November, we started a direct shipping line with India, with MENA, with the port of Mundra and port of Navi Shifa, and Alhamdulillah, we are carrying these lines with good full capacity, and there is also demand is growing for this line, and inshallah we will witness more improvement in terms of connectivities, maybe also to other ports in India. As well, for the maritime solution, the Oman Dry Dock, which is attached to Duqm port, where we are providing ship maintenance and conversion facilities for all type of vessels. And last year we achieved to serving 22 projects in one day, providing services like repair of conventional ships, ship conversion, offshore conversion, steel structure and fabrication, and also offshore steel structure and fabrication. Oman Post, we modernized, our directions and going ahead to more of e-commerce and express mails, providing last mile delivery, also adding additional services. Now we have like 20 services provided through our Oman Post. The public service through Senior, providing the land transport as well, linking the islands to the land through our ferries. Now we are linking Masira with the land, and also the North Island as well the South. We have different, ferry lines from Muscat to Khassab, Khassab Dima, Shinas to Khassab, Shinas to Masira, and this all in the north side of Oman. When we came to education, also we have International Maritime College. It is based in Sohar, providing undergraduate programs as well training programs which are all in maritime and logistic and supply chain. Here is the money part, doing business with Oman through our free zones. Foreign investment can enjoy the free trade agreements that Oman made with different parts of the world, like US, Singapore, and other countries in Europe, and also other countries in Southeast. There is also full ownership of the project, zero personal income taxes, no import and re-export duties, also holiday corporate taxations, and also there's attractive customized incentives could be offered. We have a global market team dedicated to also handle investment, and they could facilitate and help any foreign investor to if he wants to find a local partner for helping him to register his company. So even we can be aligned with him since working to the idea till anchoring the business here in Oman. So also one of the things I want to touch is one-stop shop. We have 4 one-stop shops attached to the free zones, to the ports free zones, as well to Oman, to Muscat airport. Basically, from this window, you can register your company, apply for activity permits, apply for labor visa, so you can facilitate all your business needs through one single window. And also, we are providing your help, ITHRAA, and also ASIAC and CISAC. We can offer you also this assistance. Here is some success stories. We are really proud to have such brands in Oman. This is in different industries, not only in our free zones. We are welcoming to see more Indian brands, and we pleasure also to strengthen. We are having, as Azan said, very long historic relations. It started in trading, and we want to be more growing also in terms of business. Thank you for your patience and for your time. We are open to welcome any questions, to welcome any ideas, any investment opportunities through our global markets. We can facilitate this, and looking to see new Indian investment also, and grow the existing Indian investment to Oman. Thank you, everybody, and ITHRAA is the floor for you.
Thank you, Badr. Seems we get a lot of questions. Well, now I would like to welcome Mr. Jalal Al-Lawati, Director of Marketing and Investment Promotion the Special Economic Zone Authority at DOCOM, which manages, regulates, and develops all economic activities in DOCOM. It plans, designs, and implements long-term strategies for infrastructural development and attracts investment to promote a wide spectrum of economic activities in DOCOM. Many investment opportunities in DOCOM will be presented by Mr. Jalal. Please go ahead, Jalal.
Thank you, Hawra, and Namaste, Your Excellency, Azan Busaidi from ITHRAA, Ms. Ashwini, Mr. Atul, and all ladies and gentlemen. Namaste, good afternoon to my colleagues in Oman, and good evening to colleagues in India. I would like to thank ITHRAA for the interesting and important webinar that attracts Indian community or Indian business community. And in fact, what we are trying to do is, as Azan said, is a call back to basics and an attempt to replicate the successful ventures of Indian businessmen in Oman. I will start with a brief presentation. I have 13 slides only about the DOCOM Special Economic Zone. Yep. Yeah, I believe my screen is on. Do you see it, gentlemen? Hawra, could you confirm?
Yes, we can see your slides.
Okay, thank you. First of all, we are trying to create a new gateway to Oman and to the world, from Oman to the world. What we are looking at is a strategic location that is an ideal location to be a significant trade link for Indian subcontinent, the GCC, and East Africa, and why not connecting the traditional economics like Europe and America with the new or the new strong powers in economy like China and Japan. The idea is we are trying to attract markets of 2.5 billion people in these proximate markets. Overall, the area size of DOCOM is 2,000 square kilometers. It's one of the biggest or the biggest free zones in the Middle East and North Africa with a coastal line of 90 kilometers. The map in front of you, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, is the map of the free zone highlighted by the blue border. We have developed 40% of the entire free zone as phase one of the development. And in this phase one, we have developed an industrial city, heavy industry, medium industry, light industries, a tourism area, a logistic area, seaport and dry dock, a fishery zone, educational zone, central business district, and residential zone. In fact, what we are trying to develop here is to create an entire city under a free zone entitlement. And what is meant by free zone entitlement, i.e. all of the businesses that would operate in the area will be entitled for these incentives. 100% foreign ownership, no currency restrictions, no minimum capital requirements, tax exemption up to 30 years from the date of commencement of the operation, 100% repatriation of capital and profit is permitted, and user product agreement up to 50 years, and sometimes 99 years, depends on the business. There is one more very important element to the special economic zone and to DOCOM is the one-stop shop. And by one-stop shop, we can facilitate or we can do all the businesses, all the procedures the businesses need to start in DOCOM. So we can deal with everything from A to Z, including commercial registration, industrial license, environmental permits, user product agreement, work permits and visas, building permits and approvals. And by the way, today, since the pandemic started in 2 or 3 months ago, we have facilitated or we have accelerated the move to electronic services. Today, we offer 71 services of the services on our electronic or on the electronic portal. So today you can access the electronic portal and ask for investment application, ask for land application, ask for work permits, ask for visas, and all of these facilities in one area virtually. In addition, from day one, the government has known the importance of connectivity and wanted to connect DOCOM to all of the to areas or to business areas around the surrounding DOCOM. We have worked on a modern network of roads, an airport with integrated facilities. Today we have the airport is up and running, and before the pandemic there was a daily flight from Muscat to DOCOM, and there were plans to start new flights with new carriers. Deep sea water multi-purpose port that is managed by Port of Antwerp, and it is it was under construction, or it is under construction for the last the last 2 years. So the construction phase of this port is 2 years, but it will get ready by the end of this year. It will be ready as a fully commercial port. Having said that, we encourage the port to operate on a temporary basis, on a soft basis, till the full completion of the port. The port is huge, really huge, and just to elaborate on that, the American U.S. aircraft carrier, when they brought the ship to the basin of the port, he said that this is one of the rare ports in the world that I could get out and in without really maneuvering the ship. And there is a future network or future rail network being planned. Now, what are the areas that we are focusing on? There's manufacturing, there is logistics, there is healthcare, there is education, metals and minerals, food and beverage, tourism, and fisheries. In manufacturing, the most important and the most natural thing we have to attract today, because today almost 80% of Oman GDP is dependent on oil and gas. So we wanted to create more value of oil and gas. That's why there is a refinery. We have attracted the refinery, and there are talks of other petrochemical projects in the area. Logistic, one of the main aspects or main elements of creating DOCOM is to act as a logistic hub for industries in the region. And healthcare and education, these are soft bases, soft infrastructure that are required for any city. Metal and minerals, there is a huge deposit of limestone, of gypsum, of a lot of metals and minerals in DOCOM, and we would welcome any company that would utilize this into industries. Food and beverages, this is one of the areas we are targeting, and tourism and fisheries. Talking about fisheries, we have a plan to establish one of there is a huge port, the largest fishery port in Oman is under construction in DOCOM. A small brief, I will take you through small selective projects only. I won't go through the entire portfolio of projects, but the most important projects. Today, DOCOM Refinery is one of the most important projects. It's a joint venture between Oman Oil Company and Kuwaiti Petroleum, 50% a joint venture, and it is aimed to produce 230,000 barrels per day of a variety of crude mixtures. The construction of the refinery is under construction, and today 40 to 50% of the construction is already completed. Alongside with the refinery and around 70 kilometers to the south of DOCOM, there is a plan to create Oman Tank Terminal. A huge tank storage tanks for crude oil is planned in the area for companies, countries, or even individuals that want to store their crude oil in the future. Renaissance City, it's one of the important projects today with a 17,000 bed, and this is an interesting project because when they started, the population of DOCOM at all was 15,000 people or person, so they created 17,000 bed. Today they have a 90% occupancy and higher, and they have taken a land to expand and they start the expansion process as soon as possible because they see a lot of demand happening in the labor accommodation or labor accommodation here. As I said, we are creating the biggest fishery port in Oman. Alongside with the fishery port, with a depth of 10 meters, alongside with the fishery port, we are creating also a fishery industry zone. So this is again an invitation to any businesses that are interested to market fish, to work on fish, to do some fish farming, to do some canning, some sort of any business related to fish, we would welcome these businesses in Duqm. This is the last slide, and this is the slide I would conclude with. Why Duqm? Because it has a strategic location, and by strategic location, I would say it is a location outside of the state of Hormuz, outside of the 30 kilometers that limits the entrance of the GCC, and outside and above the piracy zone. It's also above the piracy zone, what is internationally identified as a piracy zone. So Duqm is in a safe area. It's logistically close area to all the maritime routes, and that's why we think that Duqm is the new important hub for businesses in the region. Multimodal transportation system, that's what we have created because we thought that connectivity is key for the projects in Duqm. And the government has spent 2.3 billion Omani riyal on, which is around $6.7 billion on the investment in infrastructure in Duqm. Ease of doing business, and by this we mean the one-stop shop. The one-stop shop is a brilliant way to help investors to invest in Duqm. And today we have excellent and fast team. If you want to register a company and you have documentation ready, we can register a company in less than half an hour, and maybe less than that, much less than that. Availability of diverse natural resources, and here we think the main important natural resources that we would depend to attract businesses to Duqm are: first is oil and gas, second is minerals and metals, and third is the fishery markets. And international relationships, we all know that the relationship of Oman with the entire world is perfect. We are friends with everyone, enemy of none, and especially with India. Historically, our relationship has been great and excellent, especially in the business. By that, I would conclude, but I would say that during the pandemic, all the projects in Duqm so far has been going on as per schedule. There is no delays, there's no change in the projects, and we have not seen any withdrawn from any investor so far. So that's a very good sign for us at Duqm Authority that things are going to be better, inshallah. Thank you very much, Hawra, and if you have any question, I would be glad to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, Jalal. Yes, we got some questions, some more questions. Here, I would like to invite all attendees to participate in the poll. There is some quick evaluation. Well, and I would like to request all panelists to open their camera so we can interact. And now we'll go for Q&A. Well, I have some questions here. So can we start with Azan regarding the Invest in Oman platform? What kind of benefit that investor can get from this platform?
Well, first of all, I mentioned in my presentation the Invest in Oman platform, the platform that was with the intention of allowing potential to view all the investment opportunities available in Oman. They can, through this platform, engage with these project developers or owners. So these would be either government organizations or state-owned enterprises, or in a later stage, even private sector developers. The projects right now in the platform are at around, I think, 22 projects, and there are 20 different stakeholders involved. The platform as well allows the investors to interact with a wide range of small and medium-sized enterprises in Oman, those who would be usually providing services to potential investors. Through the link with us, we, just like any investment promotion or any investment promotion authority, provide services such as registering the company, issuing all licenses and approvals in coordination with different government departments. we would introduce these investors to banks, legal firms, accounting firms, whatever services that these companies would require whilst exploring the opportunity in Oman. This is from one end, but generally speaking, the platform does not limit the services we provide to investors to only what I've mentioned. Foreign potential investors can request visit programs. They could request specific details and information about either the country, either a specific sector, or even for a specific project. And ITHRAA is generally over here in order to liaise with the rest of the stakeholders in order to get these requests finalized. Visitors who approach us wanting for us to prepare them a visit program, this is a key service that we provide. We happily do this to a large number of potential investors. The current circumstances does not allow traveling, obviously, but as soon as that is allowed, we would want to welcome those who are very either enthusiast or very serious about exploring a specific opportunity to come and visit. We arrange local field trips, either to Duqm, for a matter of fact, which is an hour and a half flight from Muscat, or to the other free zones and ports, Suhar, Salala, Khasab, Mazyuna, whatever else. So there is a wide range of services that my colleagues and I provide through Invest in Oman as a platform, or even through direct engagements with the representatives over here. And moving that forward, we shoulder by shoulder with the potential investor till the investment itself gets realized here in Oman.
Thank you, Azan. Another question regarding is there any kind of restriction on business activities for foreign investors?
Sure. Well, starting from the beginning of this year, when the Foreign Direct Investment Law was enacted, the FDI law abolished all of the restrictions that were previously applied to companies with either foreign investment or companies which were 100% owned by foreign investors. That was only allowed in free zones and the special economic zone of Duqm. Today, it is allowed everywhere. So companies no longer require local investors, local partners to be with them in order to register their companies. This is the first thing. The second thing, companies from India are not required to have minimum paid up capital physically deposited in banks here in Oman in order to get their companies registered. Having that said, companies are expected when they file for their tax returns to show the amount of capital that these companies have. This is a practice that I'm sure ICAI knows more than I. But as far as the registration is concerned, these restrictions have been abolished. Talking about what are the activities that are restricted for only Omanis, these would be, first of all, this is a practice that happens everywhere in the world. It's called the negative list of economic activities, which are only allowed for local companies. These would be activities that are very, very micro in nature and do not form investment opportunity or a sector that would interest any of the investors from around the world. These would be activities that, as I said, very micro in nature. They might be linked to either services or products that are part of the Omani culture or part of our traditions and customs. And for that, and for a matter of fact, ITHRAA and the Ministry of Commerce and Industry are committed to have this list publicly available in our websites as soon as the list gets approved. But I would want to assure you that most, if not all, of the investment opportunities that are relevant to either the logistics sector or for activities worth talking about in DOCOM. Having these being our two main pillars in the talks today are sectors that are open, and we are welcoming investments from India and from the rest of the world with no restrictions.
Thank you, Azan. We have another question to, it's about DOCOM. So Jalal, can you talk about Omanization policy in the special economic zone of DOCOM?
Yes, in regards to Omanization, as we all know, the Omanization is a condition that is applied to businesses that are coming to Oman in different industries. For the entire of Oman, there's a different way of calculating Omanization. So it's different depending on the industry, depending on the job itself. So that's the situation in Oman. And normally it's between 30 to 40 and sometimes more than that in different industries. In DOCOM, what is happening is we only ask for 10% Omanization, and we don't limit that to any jobs. So 10%, and in any jobs, that is our condition for Omanization. And that is definitely a good incentive for businesses that would depend or heavily depend on labor. Thank you.
Thank you, Jalal. I think we have one more question for Badr. Can you please explain if Khazain project is ready to receive investors from India?
Yes, Hawra. Khazain is, as I said, it is an integrated logistics city where it is one of the first PPP models in Oman. Infrastructure and superstructure, services started in construction. Some phases already, near to finish. The team in charge of Khazain, they started receiving, some offers from different foreign investors, and they are welcoming any one is looking for investment in real estate or in logistic services, in residentials, entertainment. Many services and activities are offered on the table, and through also our global market team, we are hoping to facilitate any inquiry. Thank you, Hara.
Thank you, Badr. So almost we covered all our questions, or all the questions getting from the audience. Please, if you have any questions or any concerns about investments in Oman, drop your email to host@ithraa.om, and our investment team would be. It would be our pleasure to respond to you very soon. Now, I would like to give the mic to Mr. Ramnanda Prapu, the Vice Chairman of Muscat Chapter of ICAI. Please go ahead.
Two questions. Can I ask the question?
Yes, Mr. Atul. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So the first question is to Ajahn, that how the ecosystem in the Oman is conducive to start the management consultancy services, say for by a chartered accountant, that how the licensing process, what kind of activity he can do, and all these, like the process, so that once somebody is there, he will always be able to attract the native from the native place to invest in the Oman. And the other question is from Mr. Badr, that as you mentioned about the, like we have a single window system available. So are we recognizing some organizations at the different part of the world that they will be acting as a catalyst? So whether we have any process of creating the catalyst that who will be like on the one side, they will be bridging the gap that okay, somebody is recognized or have a dialogue with your single window organization, that how what kind of he will be trained in that process, so that he will be able to tell everything about the entire process. Because with this presentation, we feel great that okay, we have all this facility, but actually execution required a lot of other details. So somebody should have a I will say the one-to-one connectivity with the officials or the department, wherein he can speak at any point of time to bring the investments.
Yes, let me briefly answer your question, Mr. Atul, with regards to management consultancy and all form of consultancy service companies. Although they share the same registry today here in Oman under the Invest Easy platform, but they are dealt with as consultancy companies, and the process of registering these firms remain the same till today, i.e. what I mentioned before for foreign direct investment law only applies to companies. In Oman, consultancy firms are considered in a separate registry. But having that said, I believe with the expansion that's taking place, with the hype right now that Oman is trying to promote in different services, different sectors, I believe that the need for various consultancy services is, as we're going to be seeing, an increase. We expect that with every major investment project that we are able to attract, we will as well see this acting as a catalyst or a cluster that's going to be formed around it. A key element of these clusters are going to be consultancy services. And should there be any specific request from a specific company that wants to explore opportunities of setting up here in Oman, ITHRAA does and will always remain ready to extend its services even to these type of companies.
Okay, covering the part of one-stop shop, just more clarification I would give. One-stop shop is part of Invest Easy, aiming to ease of doing the business. And as I mentioned before, investment can register his company and get the registration CR within only 1 second. And also in terms of getting the permissions, unless his paper is ready and uploaded in the system, so also within a specific time he could get the response from the government entities and other also concerned entities. In terms of catalyst or people who is facilitating this one-stop shop, there is a representative from each government entity and also ease of doing business related entities, which all are also ready to answers any inquiry as well, stop for any needs or solve any complications. And as I said before, for any interested investment, want us to help him facilitate and let's say finalize also his processing through the one-stop shop window. We are more than happy to deliver this.
Thank you, Badr and Azzan. Again, we'll go back to Mr. Prapu to give his closing note. And Mr. Prapu, he's a Vice Chairman of Muscat Chapter of ICAI. You have 5 minutes, Mr. Prabhu.
Thank you very much, Aura, for this bringing this webinar live. And I also request Mr. C.R. Janardhan, Piki President, to have 2 minutes.
Mr. Prabhu, is it audible?
Yes.
Okay. I have learned a lot of information from Oman by all the panelists, particularly from Azan and Badr and Jalal. And really, it is heartening to note that Oman has opened their country to investors. And India is a good country and a very big country. It's really interested to participate in Oman and in various activities. And really, we are proud of Prabhu for giving an opportunity to Karnataka also. The equal opportunities are available even in Karnataka. And the Karnataka industries are very good, and definitely they will think of location in Oman on various sectors like medical, agriculture, food products, auto, textile, software, pharmaceuticals, tourism, and in addition, the population is below between 25 and 40, 60% of the population of this country. They are really adventurous to come outside our country, and it's a good note that the woman has invited all of us. We are really proud to see that the presentations made by all the directors, CEO, and the excellent presentations, and it is really motivate all industries of Karnataka to come over there and what not. Woman has got ports, steel industry, everything is very good. I am really happy to learn all these things. I am going to share with my members. Karnataka is one of the important state of India, where more than 6.5 lakhs industries are there, with a very courageous note to adventure, and it's a golden opportunity to come for women, and I am confident in the future. There is a little time today left over. I do not want to take much of the time because I joined very late. But anyhow, in any case, we will going to share all the information what we have learned today from you, the speakers. Sir, really, I am extending an invitation to come out to Karnataka and make presentation in India. That will give motivate. Yes, sir. I fully agree. If you come with a delegation, and we will also come with a delegation to Oman with all industrialists. And really, I assure you, we will definitely going to help the Oman investment also. And SEZ and other things is really marvelous. And the way you have explained, our people are really interested. And I would like to request my co-panelist Atul Kumar Gupta, President of ICAI, and other people to join us in the delegation. Definitely, we will think of Oman a next destination for investment from our country. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, madam.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Janardhan, for joining you and your team from Bangalore, being the Silicon Valley of India. And this is the first webinar of virtual webinar, which is again connecting from Bangalore. It is marked the milestone in your FKCCI Bangalore. I compliment you for this webinar, and I also compliment Ustad Azan Busaidi for making this happen. And this is the first series of the webinar, and we will have many more series, and Muscat chapter is more than happy to work along with you and bring this many series of Oman India investment opportunities. And as we rightly having on the way, webinar is live. We have call from UK, US, and Canada, and they are also requested the webinars, and they want to actively engage and look for the investment opportunity in Oman. Cooperation and collaboration are the key, and this is the only thing which will redeem the mankind, as His Excellency Manu Mawarji has rightly pointed out in his opening remarks. Even though we are in a pandemic, we are able to connect, and we are in the borderless world. Thank you very much, our ICA leadership, CA Atul Kumar Gupta ji, and all his Central Council members, and the support for Muscat chapter. Thank you, Ashwini ji and Muscat chapter, for this webinar. Thank you, Mr. Sadhguru Das, Hindustan Chamber of Commerce, Chennai, for being connected and part of this successful webinar, and it is a unique opportunity, and please accept our compliments as you going for Silver Jubilee celebration. This will be a milestone on your chamber. Thank you, Badar Al-Nabi. Thank you, Mr. Jalal Lawati. Thank you, ITHRAA team. Thank you, Haura, for this unique opportunity, and we will connect, and we will have more this series of webinars going live.
Of course, it would be a pleasure actually to have another webinar. Thank you for all of you. Thank you for all panelists. Thank you for all audience, and would like to invite again all our audience to participate in the poll. Just some quick questions about the webinar, and great for all of you making this up, and we appreciate you being here. Thanks again for joining us today, and please stay safe, stay happy. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.